The young man unexpectedly discovered military traffic in the wild. Anything in the local area means
and
this one is a stalwart FB602.
So
he immediately prepared to repair it.
You
The
can
surface
see,
of the truck is
fortunately,
already the young
covered in
man
rust.
gets a tetanus shot every
entrance
now
to
and
the
then.
truck
is also
located
on the
concealed.
top of the
After
entire
gradually
vehicle. You
opening
can
it,
see that the
cluttered
interior
with
is
various
debris.
debris.
However, the battery
are
relatively well
preserved.
But after years of erosion, the paint on the structure has aged. Seeing that no internal parts were missing, the young man turned his attention to the exterior again of another military truck and some crucial parts had also disappeared. Instantly gave the young man a massive no choice but to abandon it. Then the young man's good friend drove over
to
in
the
a
weight of the military
It was
truck.
clearly not an easy task. Successfully transport it away. Pulling out this steel took a tremendous amount of effort. He needed to connect it to the rear of the truck. The tires at the bottom of the truck were so right here. The young man had to repair it on the spot. So I just get in the closest area I cook. After knocking on all the loose structures, the young man also needed to control the steering from the continuous pulling of
nearly
the steel
scrapped
cable. Stalwart gradually embarked on its journey of research. And the military truck safely reached the designated location. It still needs to be towed by a vehicle from behind. The young man will give it a complete overall
engine bay
inspection.
of this
military truck, after
located
removing
under
all
the
the
carbon
carbon
plates.
entire engine bay was completely
The engine
used
exposed.
in this military truck is the 220 horsepower Rolls-Royce one-cylinder one. The young man prepared to open the sealed cabin drain valve. That this amphibious truck holds a lot of water technique years. Also quite and what catches the eye is the truck's original battery. Based on years of experience, because it had been abandoned clearly could not be used immediately to replace it with a brand new battery. After installing the battery, the young man found that the dashboard immediately reacted. Means that the internal wiring can still be used. The young man also briefly tested the buttons. The young man needs to do is open the bonnet. The manual cranking device he had to use his unique trick, but the young man clearly overestimated his weight. And then the old master took out a photo. The awkward atmosphere that had solidified shows the daily life of this military truck. But after years of erosion, everything has become since the bonnet couldn't be opened. The young man chose to go to the top of the truck, continuously pry the gear with a crowbar. A long and tedious process. When the camera focused on the front of the vehicle, the lights on both sides proved the integrity of the wiring. Confidence was prepared to gradually disassemble. Fortunately, the interior was well preserved. The young man also prepared to allow it to run more smoothly to get the gears running. The young man also cut holes in the surface to make the prying position more accurate. He also made a mark with a marker pen. After the young man's unremitting inside the vehicle finally resumed operation, the young man opened the distributor cap. Although the interior looked without to make the truck run more stably, the young man first cleaned the surface with a vacuum cleaner. Then he took out the small knife he preparing to remove the rust and dirt from the surface of the structure. As a slight mistake could easily damage the distributor. This alone was not enough. He repeatedly polished it using high-grit sandpaper. After all this was ready to start it up and check its operation. It can be seen that the effect on the other side, good. The spark plugs that were previously gradually cleaned by the young man after connecting the ignition wires, testing whether the spark plugs were seeing that there were no problems. The young man was ready to attempt starting the truck. He still needed to fill the vehicle with fuel. Then he gradually began to start the vehicle. Weak response. It can be felt that this start ended in failure. The young man continuously actually started inside the engine bay. The young man immediately grabbed the expired fire extinguisher. The young man was directly prepared to continue starting out of the exhaust pipe clearly. Despite his reluctance, he had no choice but to stop for the time being. After 2.5 days, the young man was also fully energized. He then prepared to find out the reason for the failure to start. He found that 3 cylinders could not gradually removing the rubber arm to inspect the exhaust valve. It can be seen from the disassembled cover that there was some. When the camera focused on the inside of the inside was somewhat unbearable to look at to test the running effect. It must be said that the running was quite insane. The young man took out his family preparing to release the fortunately. After the young man's inside of the valve resumed operations were completed, the young man prepared to try starting the vehicle again. A successful start this time. The two friends added another barrel of fuel. Then the good friend directly got into the cab. It must be said that the cab is truly full of security. At the same time, the young man was with the remaining starting his confidence instantly doubled. As his good friend gradually started. The young man also cooperated with the starting fluid. Accompanied by rolling smoke and roaring. This FV602, which had been dormant for many years, was constantly discharged again. That most of the inside of the engine bay had been repaired. Gave it a thorough cleaning. Then, the restless duo prepared to get the truck running. This time, the engine was a little temperamental. The truck only moved forward less than 2 meters. Undoubtedly gave both of them a hiatus. Accompanied by the small performance arranged by his girlfriend. The young man gradually prepared to start the inspection again. That the problem might be in the top carburetor. He immediately began a series of repairs. The young man found that the accelerator pump diaphragm on the carburetor. Fortunately, the young man had prepared a replacement check in advance. Other minor parts. After confirming that there were no gradually install it inside the engine bay, it still couldn't stop. The young man's passion for machinery. After installing the carburetor, the young man dove straight under the vehicle. The first thing was to gradually release the coolant. Some parts were the young man also needed to use the hammering and the engine oil could also be released from the cover without hesitation. To full basins after 2.5 minutes the young man successfully completed this. On the other side, the young man prepared to spray some on the crane control lever to allow it to run more smoothly and effortlessly. He needed to add a new tank of engine oil. Was that while adding the engine oil, noise was heard from under the vehicle body. Then the young man set up an external fuel tank again. When the entire engine bay quickly began to operate. From this sound, it is not the hydraulic system inside the engine bay also immediately prepared to start because the location was the young man with a sudden opening in the floor right away. This would also allow for a more comprehensive inspection that the interior was the young man also felt after taking out one of the parts. It can be seen that it was basically covered in dirt. He could only endure the pain and perform a series of replacements. After this step, hydraulic oil could be added to. The impatient young man prepared to operate. After a series of repairs by the young aspects of the crane have basically resumed the young man's mechanical experience and the master prepared to clean the clutch master cylinder cost the master his life. Next, the young man also needed to install the soft. The clutch has been filled as the young man gradually the amphibious military truck was generally repaired. Former performance monster was once again everyone's eyes.